الحمد لله حمدا كثيرا طيبا مباركا فيه كما يحب ربنا ويرضى، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، أشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد، ف we stopped, I believe, on دلالة السمع, if I am not mistaken. أما السمع, no, we have even finished this, right? نعم, we have finished this. So العقل, we stopped at العقل. Imam bin Uthaymeen said, وأما العقل, as for يعني logic, the logic dalil, the logic evidence, is that the attributes of Allah are not something that is separate from afwan, because an attribute is not something separate from that which it is describing. A sifa, a description, is not separate from that which it is describing. حتى يلزم من ثبوتها التعدد. So that if we affirm a description on an attribute, it means we have more than one entity by doing so. We're building off, ya ikhwa, what we said last class. So we're still building off of it. If you've forgotten, you have to go to last class and see what we were saying there. However, there are only the attributes of that, or the description and attributes of that which they are describing. So they are يعني قائمة به, يعني they are of that thing. They're established by that thing. They're inherent to that thing. And everything that exists must have multiple attributes, because it is described as, the existence is a description of it, right? It's an attribute of it because it exists. وكونه واجب الوجوب, and that he subhanahu wa ta'ala is the creator of all things, يعني. So واجب الوجود meaning what, يا أخوة? The creator of all things. And this is, they claim this for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. أو ممكن الوجود, and that يعني واجب الوجود وممكن الوجود. واجب الوجود meaning something that must exist, as they say, يعني the philosophers. يعني cannot cease to exist. Must be there for existence. And ممكن الوجود is something that is what, يا أخوة? Something that can exist or not. Like, for example, a human being. He can exist or not. You understand? Barakallahu fikum. They call this ممكن الوجود. Very shortly, يعني. Or whether he is عين قائما بنفسه, whether he is something that is يعني an entity that is separate in itself, أو وصفا في غيره, or that it is an attribute in something else. يعني أخوة, can we ever imagine something that exists without any attributes? Tell me, name one thing that exists without any attributes. Yani nonsense remains nonsense, ya akhwa. Even if they put shubuhat to it and they adorn it with some shubuhat, it's nonsense in the end. If it exists, then it has what? It is described as existing. So this is one attribute. It has a color, for example, or it has a body, or it has a volume, or it has, so there we يعني described it with other descriptions. Does that mean that now there are 3-4 things? طبعا لا. Of course not. And we talked about this thoroughly last time. Imam bin Uthaymeen, in the explanation, he says, for example, الموجود, that which exists, فيه صفة الوجود. We describe it with the attribute of existence. يعني meaning what, يا أخوة? That it exists. وفيه أيضا, and in it as well, أن وجوده, that his existence is either ممكن or واجب. And I told you what ممكن or واجب is. ممكن meaning can or cannot exist, and واجب must. طيب. So our existence is mumkin. Imam bin Uthaymeen says, it can or cannot. As for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is wajib. And also that which exists can either be a'ayn qa'imatan bi nafsiha, something that is an entity that is separate, that is يعني, an entity in itself, not a description or an attribute in something else. This is what is meant. Simply put, ya akhwan. And the Shaykh said, and it is not a description of something else. For example, he says, Al-insan مثلا عين قائم بنفسه. A human being is a ayn, is an entity that is separate on its own. وسمع الإنسان, and the hearing of a human being, وبصره, and his sight, is a description قائم بغيره. Is a description قائم بغيره. Meaning, hearing and sight is a description that is established in another entity. It's not an entity on its own. So every existence must have these three attributes. Everything that exists must have these three attributes. Number one, existence. Number two, whether the existence is mumkin or wajib. Whether it is mumkin, yani it can exist or wouldn't have existed in the first place, no problem. Or wajib, must exist. There is no existence without wajib. The wajib of existence, meaning Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The number three, that he is an entity in himself or he is a description in something else. And this is something that can never be denied. طيب. And then he says, but despite this, and despite what the Shaykh said, nowadays we know that even attributes and descriptions, they are made up of very small things in the microscope and so on. So we can even challenge such a philosophy in the first place. And I will ask the ulama about this. I will ask some of my mashayikh, and I will expand after I ask them, inshaAllah. So we're going to hold this thought until I ask the mashayikh, inshaAllah. طيب. And then Imam bin Uthaymeen in the Matin, he says, وَبِهَذَا أَيْضًا عُلِمَ أَنَّ الدَّهْرَ, and by this we know that الدهر ليس من أسماء الله عز وجل. It's not from the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. لأنه اسم جامد لا يتضمن معنى يلحقه بالأسماء الحسنى ولأنه اسم للوقت والزمن. It's because it's اسم جامد. It doesn't have a meaning. It doesn't have a meaning that makes it from the most beautiful of names, most excellent, perfect of names, the Asma al-Husna, because it is a name for a time. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said about those who disbelieve in al-Ba'th, resurrection, وَقَالُوا, and they have said, مَا هِيَ إِلَّا حَيَاتُنَا الدُّنْيَا, it is only our dunya, our life in the dunya. نَمُوتُ وَنَحْيَا, we live and we die. وَمَا يُهْلِكُنَا إِلَّا الدَّهْرُ, and the only thing that kills us is ad-dahr, time. And they want by this murur al-layali wal-ayyam, the passing of days and nights. Write this next to the ayah. Let me give you a beautiful benefit. Write this next to the ayah. Again, I will say the ayah again, and I want you to put this very precious benefit. They said, وَقَالُوا مَا هِيَ إِلَّا حَيَاتُنَا الدُّنْيَا, and they have said it is only our haya ad-dunya, it is only life in this dunya. نَمُوتُ وَنَحْيَا وَمَا يُهْلِكُنَا إِلَّا الدَّهْرُ, we live and die, and the only thing that kills us is the dahr. Right next to this, if ad-dahr is Allah, then they would be muwahhideen, they would be monotheists. They would be muwahhideen, they would be upon tawheed. And this has been said by our Shaykh, Shaykh Muhammad Hisham al-Tahiri. This benefit is by our Sheikh Muhammad Hisham al-Tahiri. And truly so, ya ikhwah. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is ad-dahr, then what they have said here is correct. The only one who killed them is Allah Azza wa Jal, not time. You understand, barakallahu fikum. But by their saying here, we understand that time is not Allah. And that's how they disbelieved. They said there is no resurrection. It's just life and death. And with the passing of time, we die. Because time passes, time kills us. Then time is not Allah. Because if they meant Allah kills us, then they are correct. And they are muwahhideen. طيب. Imam bin Uthaymeen says, in regarding ad-dahr, that it is ism jamid, yani it's not mushtaq, doesn't have a meaning, it's not derived from a meaning. Like he says in the sharh, in the explanation, kal hajar, like the word rock. It is also ism jamid. And al-bayt, house, is also ism jamid. And we have already said, the Shaykh says, that to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala belong the most perfect of names. So they can never be a noun or an ism, a name that is jamid and doesn't hold meaning. You understand, ya akha? Where is the perfection in that? طيب. So he says they don't want by saying ما يهلكنا إلا الدهر يعني إلا الله أبدا بل يريدون إلا الدهر يعني مرور الأيام ولا يعني they do not mean Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at all. Imam bin Uthaymeen says. Then he said in the matan, فأما قوله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال الله عز وجل, as for his saying صلوات ربي وسلامه عليه, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said يؤذيني ابن Adam, we said we're going to translate يؤذيني to bother, right? Bother. يسب الدهر, he cusses الدهر, وأنا الدهر, and I am the دهر, بيدي الأمر, in my hand is the matter, أقلب الليل والنهار, I turn night and day. He says Imam bin Uthaymeen فلا يدل على أن الدهر من أسماء الله تعالى. This does not indicate that or brings evidence that الدهر, time, is from the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وذلك أن الذين يسبون الدهر إنما يريدون الزمان, and that is the people who cuss the time, they only mean time. The ones who cuss الدهر, they only mean time. الذي هو محل الحوادث, which is أو محل الحوادث, which is that which things happen in or at. لا يريدون الله عز وجل, they do not mean Allah عز وجل. معنى قوله, he saying وأنا الدهر, ما فسره بقوله بيد الأمر أقلب الليل والنهار. ما here meaning الذي. So the meaning of I am the dahr is that which he explained it himself. بيدي الأمر, بيدي الأمر, in my hand is the matter. I turn the night and day. فهو سبحانه, Imam bin Uthaymeen says in the matan, خالق الدهر وما فيه. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created time and what's in it. And he has shown subhanahu wa ta'ala that he turns the night and day, shifts the night and day, and they are ad-dahr, and they are time. ولا يمكن, and it is impossible, أن يكون المقلب, that the one who is turning, the turner, هو المقلب, is itself that which is turned. And by this it is made clear that it is impossible that ad-dahr, time, in this hadith means Allah Azza wa Jal, or Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala meant himself with. Yani the Shaykh is saying that which is turned is not the turner himself. This is more than evident. This is more than crystal clear. So it is very evident. How can you, I'm explaining what the Shaykh is saying. How can you come and say that this is Allah Azza wa Jal? Yani Allah Azza wa Jal, he is the turner of something that is he himself is. That which is turned is the turner. This is impossible. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is turning something other than Him. And you're coming and telling me that this is the thing that is being turned by Allah is Allah? No, this is impossible. This is what he's saying. And a Shaykh add this, a Shaykh al-Allama, Ubayd al-Jabiri, the Shaykh of our Mashayikh, he said that مقلب اسم فاعل. مقلب in the Arabic language is subject. This is how the word is made in the first place. يعني مقلب, the word itself always means subject. It doesn't mean object. You understand? And مقلب is object. In the Arabic language we have اسم فاعل واسم مفعول. اسم فاعل is the doer in the Arabic language. And اسم مفعول is the object, that which the action has been done to. We call this اسم مفعول. So the doer is اسم فاعل. مقلب in the Arabic language is doer. And مقلب is done to, اسم مفعول. And he said it can never be that the doer means the same thing as the object, that which is it is done to. So the subject does not equal the object, Shaykh Ubayd al-Jabiri says. And I told you last time, I added to this, I said what? I told you last time, if you remember, I said if somebody comes to you, and I want everyone to answer, again, if someone comes to you and he says, I am the law, what do you think? Even in the English language, you are sitting with someone and he says, I am the law. وإليكم نعم, you can go, أخي. Apologies, you can go to them. If someone comes and says, I am the law, what does he mean? He means he is the law. The law itself is this man. Is this what it means? Akhi Ali says he enforces the law. Tawheed of the Ummah says doesn't make sense. Whatever you find problematic, tell me. Unless he means he is the one who legislates. So you understand that he is the one who legislates. Means he is the ruler. Look at now how you understand it and how easy it is. It means what he says is the law. It means he is the authority. No. This is exactly what it is. If he says, I am the law, we know that he is the enforcer of the law. He is the enforcer of the law. And we understand this, ya ikhwa. Now imagine the philosophers come, ya ikhwa, and they start saying, he is the law. Meaning, this is metaphorical. This is metaphorical now, because he said, I am the law. And since this is metaphorical and he is not the law, he is a human being. Who understands this, ya ikhwa? But let's continue. It means that he has no attributes. We have to deny all attributes from him. Subhanallah. Is this a way of good understanding, ya ikhwa? Absolutely not. So since even if you found one thing that when you look at it, it does not mean what it says, that does not mean that now we're gonna go to all the names of Allah Azza wa Jal and deny them, and all the attributes of Allah Azza wa Jal and deny them. And we go to the Quran with most of it having the names of attributes of Allah Azza wa Jal, and we say they do not mean what they say, all of them. And then we go to the ahadith and we say, la, they are not meant, and these are not attributes, and they are not correct, and it's not what they mean on face value. And you need me, the philosopher, to come and explain them to you. And we start making up meanings to these names and attributes without the Messenger ﷺ saying them, or Allah in the Quran or the Sunnah. And then we put rules, and by these rules you have to abide, and this is how you understand the deen of Allah Azza wa Jal. Is there deviance above this, ya ikhwah? And it boils down to something so simple. Yani if this man that said, I am the law, and he said, I have mercy. We say, La, he doesn't have mercy. No, no. We have to deny mercy. He says, I have a hand. We say, La, this human being doesn't have a hand. You're going to think this is illogical. You're going to think this person is crazy. Am I right or wrong? You're going to look, you're going to say, this is insane. He just said, I am the law. That doesn't mean that he doesn't have a hand, or he doesn't have a face, or he doesn't have mercy, and he doesn't have power, he doesn't... So we say, and you're talking about something that is makhlooq. You're talking about creation, something that can never be compared to the creator of the heavens and the earth. وَلِلَّهِ الْمَثَلُ الْأَعْلَى. To Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the most high of examples. So how come, if this is insanity when it comes to human beings, it is not insanity when it comes to Allah Azza wa Jal? And He Himself has told us in the Quran that He has mercy, that He has a hand, that He has a... It makes total sense to affirm what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has affirmed for Himself. But why didn't we here affirm that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is time? Why? Why here we went away and we said He's not time? Because He said, أُقَلِّبُ اللَّيْلَ وَالنَّهَارِ, I turn. So He explained it Himself. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned His mercy, and then He mentioned what His mercy is, and that it is not His, and it is something that is created, and He is changing it, and this and that, we would do the same thing. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala showed us in the same way, exact way, that what is meant by hand is not hand, or by seeing Him is not seeing Him in Jannah, or that He is not merciful, and that all of this is metaphorical, we would have evidence like the one we have here. We have no such a thing. We have the exact opposite of this. Allah and the Messenger ﷺ told us that we will see Allah Azza wa Jal as we see the sun or the moon in a clear night without clouds. We will see Him subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when someone comes and says, no, you're not going to see Him, but what He means something else, we say, subhanallah. Where did you get this from? When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that He descends, they say, no, His command, His matter descends, an angel descends. We say, where did you get this from? Do you have in the continuation of the hadith that it is the matter that He sends down? Or He said that all His matters are sent down? No. It literally just says that He descends. And He says, and you say, no, He does not say. Subhanallah, He says. Then they come and say, no, He created speech and something else. Say, A'udhu Billah, where did you get this from? He created speech and something else so that it could be said. Why? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is incapable of speech. Where did you get this from? He subhanahu wa ta'ala says that He said. Is this understood? Barakallahu fikum. Even the person himself that says Allah doesn't speak, he says, قال الله تعالى. He says Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said. Wallahi, sometimes we see from these contradictions, al-mudhik al-mubki. That which makes you laugh and cry. You don't even know, shall I laugh or cry for this? Allah al-musta'an. طيب. Do we have time? Allah al-musta'an. Very clear. Alhamdulillah. طيب. We barely have enough time. Allah al-musta'an. But let's read just one paragraph and then we will stop. ثم, in the explanation, he said, then, إن الله تعالى, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, I am the dahr, the matter is in my hand, I turn the day and night. Meaning that the ones who cuss time, they say, هذه سنة جائرة. They say this is an oppressive year. This is an unjust year. أو يسبون ما وقع فيه, or they cuss what happened in it, is like the saying of some of the sufaha, some of the foolish, هذه عاصفة هوجاء. That this is a, I don't know how to translate هوجاء. Senseless, barbaric storm. Something like this, to the extent of this. And then Imam ibn Uthaymeen says, or the likes of that from what they call what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes happen from storms and يعني that which befalls the ummah. He says all of this is haram and it can reach disbelief, kufr. Those who cuss time, it never occurs to them that they are cussing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, ever. They are cussing the time or the place. And the evidence for this, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, أُقَلِّبُ اللَّيْلَ وَالنَّهَارِ, I turn the night and day. فَاللَّيْلُ وَالنَّهَارِ, for day and night, وَهُمَا الدَّهْرُ مُقَلَّبَانِ, and they are time itself, they are turned. And we know that that which is turned is not the turner. وَعَلَيْهِ, and due to this, the meaning of I am time, it means I am مصرف الدهر. مصرف الدهر, يعني the one who turns time. And the evidence is what he said in the end of the hadith, I turn day and night. And now the Shaykh is going to bring something important, so focus. He said, وَنَحْنُ بِهَذَا, and by this, لَمْ نَعْدِلْ عَنِ الظَّاهِرِ, we did not turn our backs to the apparent meaning. بَلْ مَشَيْنَا عَلَى الظَّاهِرِ, however, we have gone in accordance with al-zahir, that which the apparent meaning. الذي يقتضيه الحال, which is meant here. لكن إذا سب الدهر الذي لا يصرف نفسه however, if he cusses time which is not the turner, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the only one who turns time, then he has cussed Allah azza wa jal. أرأيت لو أن شخصا صنع ثوبا, do you see if someone makes a piece of clothing, أحد أكمامه يصل إلى أطراف الأصابع, one of its sleeves reaches all the way to till the end of the fingers, the fingertips, والثاني يصل إلى المرفق, and the second one reaches only the elbow. فسبنا للثوب, if we cuss the dress, سب لمن صنع الثوب, it is cussing the one who made the piece of clothing. وعلى هذا, and according to this, if someone says يا دهر ارحمني, someone says, oh dahr, have mercy on me, it is forbidden. Because if he intends time itself, he is kafir, mushrik, outside the fold of Islam, meaning the type of kufr that gets you outside the fold of Islam. وَإِنَّ وَاللَّهَ, and if he meant Allah, then he has made dua to Allah Azza wa Jal by other than his most perfect of names, his perfect names, because it is not one of the names of Allah Azza wa Jal. And then the Shaykh says this is a hadith Qudsi, and that the hadith Qudsi is the one that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala يعني says. يعني قال الله عز وجل. يعني in this hadith the messenger said what? قال الله عز وجل. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said. And then they come and they say no, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't speak. And يعني what the Shaykh is saying is that even if someone came to claim, Ya Shaykh Mahir, even if someone came to claim and say, طيب, here you did not go with the apparent meaning. Allah said, I am ad-dahr, and you're saying no. We say, as Imam ibn Uthaymeen said, we did not stay away from the apparent meaning, because the apparent meaning is what, ya ikhwa? Go back to the analogy I gave. I am the law. What is apparent from I am the law? All of you said, I am the enforcer of the law. I am the legislator. Not a single one of you understood that it is I am law itself. So how did we run away from that which is apparent? And the Shaykh is saying Allah himself, the very next words he said are what? That he turns the day and night. So he distinguished between himself and time itself, because time itself is the alternation of day and night. So he is saying, I am the turner of time. I am the turner of day and night. So if you cuss the thing itself, you're cussing the one who made it. Very simple. It is what is apparent, it is what is understood. When I come and tell you, I am the law, you instantly understood what I meant. And this is what is apparent from what is being said. So even that claim is not correct. So for them to come and say that when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says Bismillahi ar-Rahmani ar-Rahim, He means something else, we say no. Now you have went away from the apparent. Because ar-Rahman, ar-Rahim, what do you understand from it on face value? Mercy. That's what you understand. Now you are doing what? You are saying La, meaning the wanter of giving blessings to his creation. The one who gives blessings to his, we say the meaning is correct, and that is from the mercy of Allah Azza wa Jal. But the mercy of Allah Azza wa Jal is even greater than that. So now you are limiting the meaning and changing the meaning and denying that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is merciful and that He is Rahman. There's a huge difference between the two. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim, and did not continue saying, and Rahmah is the blessings that are given to the to creation, and I am the one who makes them reach them, and I turn them, and so on. La, never said so. Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, Maliki Yawmiddin, and you continue. But here in the hadith you have Ana ad-Dahr, أقلب الليل والنهار, I turn the day and night. Yani I am the turner of ad-Dahr. And this is very easy when you think about it. This is how we speak in Arabic and sometimes even in English. Sometimes some people joke. They joke yani, by saying that yani, the law or the government, when what? They joke about this. Yani, they get a phone call and they say, oh, the law is calling me, the government is calling me. They mean whom? They mean his wife, right? He means his wife. So it's a joke. And they laugh about it. They say, oh, the government is calling me, the law is calling me. They are meaning what? Meaning that she is the one who sets the law. It's understood. It is understood. And we go back to another example that is given by many of the ulama. When you say what? When you say, I saw a lion speaking, instructing people what to do, and talking about the issue. You understand what? You understand that he saw a brave man. That is not a lion that is speaking, right? No one understands that there is a lion who is speaking and instructing people and telling them what to do with their issue. No one understands this. But you get these people that indulge in ilm al-kalam and the philosophers and so on. They come and they try to make us think that, oh, haven't you thought that it's not a real lion? So it is metaphorical. And you say, yeah, naam, it's metaphorical. They say, huh? And Ar-Rahman, the merciful, is metaphorical. We say, wait, it's a huge leap. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran, وَاسْأَلِ الْقَرْيَةِ, and ask the village. You're going to go and ask the walls and the doors and the ceilings and the windows? Of course not. No one understands this. So why now this is problematic for you in وَأَنَا الدَّهْرِ, and I am time. I turn the day. And why now this is problematic for you? It shouldn't be a problem. The same as ask the village, meaning you go and ask the people in the village. Everyone understands this on face value. This is what is apparent. This is the apparent meaning. No one has changed anything. But they want to negate the names and attributes of Allah Azza wa Jal, and they have no other way. But this false, and I call it illogic, but they say logic. This false logic. This is illogical, ya akhwa. This is illogical. And when language is used in such a way, nobody understands it in this very exaggeratedly imagined way. No one understands. وَاسْأَلِ الْقَرْيَةِ, meaning we ask the people. No one comes and says, this is metaphorical, and so we can deny it, and then we can deny other things based on this, and we make analogies with names and attributes. SubhanAllah, how can you? Wallahi, even if it is said just in this hadith, yani even we can even say, how did you make another jump which is other than this hadith? You went to the names and attributes of Allah Azza wa Jal. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, and I am the dahr, I turn the day and night. This has nothing to do with the Rahman, Al-Rahim, Al-Malik, Al-Quddus, Al-Salam. So there's another jump that you made that needs evidence as well. Do you have evidence for all the other names and attributes of Allah Azza wa Jal that they are not meant? Here, this hadith in itself has evidence. Where he said, I am the turner. So the turner cannot be the turned. There is in itself evidence telling us that this is the meaning. The meaning is not that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is time. But when it comes to the names and attributes of Allah Azza wa Jal, when it comes to the names and attributes of Allah Azza wa Jal, where is the evidence that you can take them in the same light? There's no evidence. You have to produce the authority, or we go with what is apparent, and that which has no evidence we do not pay attention to. Clear? Alhamdulillah. We stop here inshaAllah Azza wa Jal. اللهم أصلح لنا ديننا الذي هو عصمة أمرنا، وأصلح لنا دنيانا التي فيها معاشنا، وأصلح لنا آخرتنا التي فيها معادنا، واجعل الحياة زيادة لنا في كل خير، واجعل الموت راحة لنا من كل شر. اللهم إنا نسألك من خير ما سألك منه عبدك ونبيك محمد، ونعوذ بك من شر ما استعاذ منه عبدك ونبيك محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. اللهم اغفر لنا وارحمنا وعافنا وارزقنا. اللهم إنا نسألك الهدى والتقى والعفاف والغنى. اللهم ألهمنا رشدنا وأجرنا من شر أنفسنا. اللهم آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار يا ذا الجلال والإكرام. لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك إنا كنا من الظالمين. وصل اللهم على نبينا محمد وعلى